Hey, what's up, gamers? It's your boy Church of Caboose, and welcome back to my channel. This video, I'm going to be talking about the Solstice of Heroes event from the summer of 2022. If you're looking for something that's more about a guide for farming different resources, I will try to put the card for that right here, so you can click to that, because I did make one about farming silver leaves and silver ashes. I might briefly at the end just mention a little bit what I'm going to try to do with the rest of this event, which mostly has to deal with farming armor, but otherwise this is going to be talking about the event. So with that being put out of the way and in the open, let's go ahead and get on into this. Alright, so I finally managed to get the title done, as well as gild the title FLAMEMAKER. I thought that in order to give the best review I possibly can in my own opinion, then I should play the event in its entirety, which mostly, in my opinion, meant doing the title and then gilding it, because that's probably what a lot of people are wanting to know. Like, how hard is it? Is it worth it? Is this a better stat armor farm grind thing than it is maybe doing master title? And as well as, like, is it any fun? So that's going to be the main meat and potatoes of this video. So the first thing I kind of noticed and really experienced while doing this title is a lot of the stuff felt really long and really grindy. Probably the worst part of this was having to do 25 Crucible matches or Gambit matches. You could do any combination of those two modes. You just had to do a total of 25 matches between Crucible and Gambit. Since Mayhem is out for this first week of Solstice, I did Mayhem. Typically the matches are like 5 to 8 minutes long, which is a little bit faster than Gambit, and usually they don't even take up the full timer. I imagine in general, from my own experience, the Mayhem matches tend to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 5-6 minutes, and so that's just what I did for that portion of the title. There's also a thing for defeating 100 Guardians, and so I figured, hey, Mayhem, you get loads of supers, odds are really high, and when they get the Guardian kills done doing Mayhem in a less frustrating way than trying to do Gambit. So if you are looking at doing the title, if Mayhem is an option for you, because I don't know when you're watching this video, I would suggest doing Mayhem. Otherwise, if it's normal control, maybe just run control until you get either your whole 100 Guardians defeated done, or you get close and you're like, you know what, I want to finish the rest of this out in Gambit. Just be warned, with Gambit, there's a high possibility lots of people are trying to do the Guardian kills in Gambit, and that's probably for a couple reasons. Most notably because in Gambit, you basically are guaranteed to get Gallahorn ammo, Eyes of Tomorrow, or whatever other cheesy thing that's out there for power weapons when doing invasions. So this means there's probably a higher odd of having randoms that are playing in your team that are just going to sit by the portal waiting to go in, or that everyone's trying to get the portal activated and folks are jumping in. It's really more of a who's going to get the kills kind of a situation inside of Gambit, whereas Crucible, everyone's getting kills, because that's the whole point. No one's really going to be trying to get their chance to use their heavy ammo. There's going to be people that are not going to be trying to gatekeep and hunt down all the spots when an invader comes in, and you just might have more fun in Crucible getting the 100 Guardian kills. I believe defeats count as progress, just so you know, which is another reason why Crucible would probably be better than Gambit, but I could be wrong about defeats. I wasn't paying a whole lot of attention because I figured Mayhem, you know, I have a clip on my TikTok where I got 10 Guardians all on my own in one life, and so I wasn't really tracking too much about the kills I was doing. If you're trying to do the other kind of long grindy things, we got one triumph that's about heavy weapon kills. I found that one to be kind of annoying. What really helped me out was trying to hunt down the heavy inside of Mayhem. If we get momentum control as an option during this event, which lasts for, I believe it's a total of 3 weeks, maybe 4, something like that, then that would be another great place to do it, because the heavy spawns in quite a bit. Otherwise, in Mayhem, there's a lot of heavy that drops in, so you could use a machine gun or throw on Gallahorn, whatever works out best for you, and just really take advantage of those infinite supers, pretty much, and using the heavy. If you're a hunter main, well, you're in luck with Mayhem, because throwing shards of Galanor, and you're probably going to get quite a few more supers rapidly than the other classes, and that just makes your life a little bit easier, in my opinion anyways. The rest of the triumphs really were not that bad. bad for the most part. Yes, it was pretty annoying having to go and do patrols. The good news is the patrols, there's only, or excuse me, not patrols, public events, is you only need to do 10 of them. Then if you do the Throne World stuff, you can just do 10 Wellsprings. Or if you're trying to farm activities for the campaign where you're trying to take advantage of the Silver Leaf Farm, which I talked more about in my farm video, which I mentioned earlier in this video, then that counts a little bit, but it's only something like 3 to 5% at each time, so it's not very much. The raid, of course, does quite a bit. I believe it was like 30, maybe 40% for the raid. When I did it, I just didn't look. It's just kind of a guesstimation based off of other activities I did and when I noticed it. So hopefully that kind of helps you out with the Throne World. The patrol stuff, not too bad. We were just grabbing patrols and we were doing the Altars of Sorrow because that is another event. We actually suggest doing Altars of Sorrow. I was grinding this out with my new clan, Awesome Old Dudes. They're all about grinding and stuff. And so this guy was like, hey, if you do Altars of Sorrows instead of server missions, you get done like 2 altars. Well, we did like 1.5. Don't know why. Might have even just been 1 altar for some reason. All right, so that's going to be a great time to have someone on your fire team go around grabbing patrols. Because as long as that person has their name, like where it's propped, like, hey, you're part of the activity, well, then whatever waves get cleared count for that person. So they can just run around grabbing patrols and not really even have to participate in altar. They could just grab patrol, whether it's the assassin ones, whatever. They just gotta stay in the area so it counts, and maybe not the assassin ones, but just be grabbing, especially the Tolan patrols. I was told that was really helpful. I was killing stuff. A teammate of mine, Mac Dude, was grabbing all of the patrols and doing that, and that's worked really, really well. All right, there's not a whole lot of other really long grinding stuff in my opinion. The Nightfalls or Psyops playlist, Vanguard playlist thing, whatever, was probably the next grindiest one, but that wasn't super bad. We noticed it was like 10% for I think it was a hero run, the one that has the lowest options for Nightfalls with champions, which is the second tier. I believe that's called hero. It's 10% a run. The lowest one, adept, is 5%, or maybe it might have been 7% a run. And then it looked like doing legend was like 20%. So I'm sure something like master is probably like 30 or 40. And then I bet you grandmaster was probably like 50% progress for each completion. So depending upon what you're going for, that might work out well for you too. But those things are also all hinging on how many leaves you're getting in the event. So you have to wear the armor, and the more armor that you wear, the more you want to get. So something like grandmaster might be pretty impractical, maybe even a master nightfall, just because all the stuff you have to wear, it's probably not statted out the way you prefer. You probably don't want to necessarily just masterwork that armor because it might be trash, so you might have a harder time doing something like a master or grandmaster nightfall, but you know your fire team best. The bonfire activity stuff, though, those triumphs are pretty easy. This kind of happened. I've heard complaints from people about the triumph where you had to get 2 hive waves, 2 fallen waves, and 2 cabal waves to be kind of grindy, because some people were saying like, hey, it's not really dropping for me. However, for the title, you don't have to do all 28 in order to get just the bare title done. It's only like 24, I think. So you could do all the other stuff and just use the AZ to turn those leaves into ashes, and then upgrade your armor as you're going, and then potentially have that triumph before the gilding. Because the last thing you had to do, which I didn't really find to be that time consuming, was you gotta fully upgrade and then rework 12 pieces of armor. So you gotta get a full kindled set, and then you have to get at least 12 armor pieces total where you rework it. And so I believe those first 5 count on that tracker. I didn't even realize I had it unlocked. I just kind of noticed, and it was like, oh, look at that, I'm like halfway done. So I think those first 5 armor pieces that you fully max out and then rework count towards those 12. So it's not super bad. Because you can run the EAZ, armor will most likely drop for you as a reward, and if not, you can always go to Eva and the tower and then scroll over 1 page and be able to buy whatever armor pieces you're looking for legendary shards and glimmer. And if you need those shards, well, you can go to Master Raoul, which is right next to Eva, and get more of those things. So overall, this title and then gilding it is not super awful. However, I didn't think it was really fun. And I think there's a good reason for that. I watched a video by Paul Tassi, and he talked quite a bit about how this was designed for free-to-play players. or people that don't want to buy content such as the dungeon, which I totally respect. No hate or judgment here. If you want to play for free or not buy dungeons, I totally get it. I'm just like small content creator with some dreams, and I love the game, and so I tend to buy the stuff they put out. All right. So if you're able to do stuff like Master Keitel and have it not be a pain in the butt, like one day I had 15 clears of it really quickly because we were farming the boss checkpoint, and we were one phasing her every time, then, you know, doing the Artifice Armor farm is probably going to be a lot better. But if you think about from the point of view from the free-to-play player, or someone that doesn't have teammates, or maybe someone that's like, nah, not really into endgame, this is a great event. It doesn't take a whole lot of work to get the high stat rolled armor once you have everything unlocked. The key is it kind of sucks getting everything unlocked. And so some of the stuff you can do is try to just really realize that you can put a mod for whatever kind of stat base you want to have on your armor piece on your ghost, and then pick a different one on the spark thing when you use the ash to rework it. So what you could do is be like, hey, I want a lot of resilience, I want a little bit of recovery. You put on recovery on your ghost, you do resilience for the armor piece with the ash, and bang, you're guaranteed to have plus 10 recovery if that's the ghost mod, and then at least plus 20 resilience if that is the thing you picked when you're using the silver ash. And then the rest of the stats will get worked out in the bottom three, which, if memory serves me right, it's intellect, strength, and discipline. So you have pretty good odds of being able to get some great armor, or at least high stats, which will help you out. In fact, that's mostly what I'm going to be doing with the rest of this event. And there is one good thing, although I think it's a bug, and I think Bungie will probably try to change it if it's not very hard to do, is that once you get all the armor unlocked and whatever on one character, so say the Titan gets all the gauntlets unlocked, well, a guy named Haterade showed me a pretty cool trick. You can go to your Hunter, your Warlock, get an arm piece gauntlets, you know, for that character, transfer it over to your Titan, whether it's with an app or Destiny Item Manager on your PC, whatever it is that you use. And then the game, for some reason, thinks that that armor piece is been fully kindled, and you're able to re-roll that armor piece for whatever it is and then put it back to that character. So you realistically only have to run this through once in order to help out all your characters. They just won't get the glow, as I understand it. So if you're trying to farm out armor, this is not a bad way to go. But it takes a while, right? If you're not using the farm stuff that I showed before, or if Bungie fixes it, it takes probably maybe an hour or two if you're really speed running strikes or something to get full of those silver leaves, and you can only hold 100. Then if you're able to still do the glitch thing that I mentioned, and also in that video that Haterade showed me with Behemoth, you can get up to 500 of those silver ash and just get rid of all of those leaves in one go. And that gives you probably a handful of somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 to 5 armor pieces. I think it's like 120 silver ash per armor piece, from going from whatever it is it dropped at, or you bought it from Evo for, all the way to having it re-rolled where you pick what the stat distribution is. And that takes quite a bit of time. It's probably about, realistically, maybe half an hour or so per armor piece without using any of the exploits that are currently in the game. And if Bungie fixes those, that's not ideal, but it's better than not being able to get them at all. So if you're really looking to get armor, this is definitely a great time to do it. I do appreciate how Bungie did mess around with the EAZ. I cannot tell you how annoyed I was to constantly just be running and looking for those chests for 3 stinking years in a row and a virtually unchanged EAZ. In fact, when Bungie announced, like, hey, it's going to be a different EAZ, I was like, oh, bullcrap. It's been the same thing. Just like chests in a different location, or maybe like a different boss or something. No, this is way different. I like this more. I'm able to kind of sit more in the area. I don't know about you guys, even though it's just my thumbs that are moving because I use controller because I'm on Xbox, I don't really like running and jumping around the map and trying to find all the different nooks and crannies and corners. I kind of like just killing stuff because, you know, Titan smash. So that's more my vibe, and this EAZ event is more that way as well. Fun little fact, I believe if I remember this right, I heard that Ikora actually like generated this area and is like holding it up with her light abilities, or something with warlocks coming together, or Ikora to basically create this little EAZ zone thing. That's kind of cool. I don't know, it doesn't really add anything to me with the gameplay. It's just kind of like, oh, that's a fun little factoid that I'll use at some point, and so now I've used it. Alright, I really do have mixed feelings on this event, because I could run Master Keitel over and over and just get what I want. However, it is pretty nice to be able to know I'm going to have plus 20 in one slot, plus 10 in another, and then the rest will be distributed amongst the other half of that armor piece. And that is really helpful. So when you just run Master Keitel, it's kind of luck of the draw. You just put on whatever you're going to do on your Ghost, and then cross your fingers and hope it works out. It's a little bit more focused within this event. It's definitely going to help out new players. I really kind of think part of doing this for the new lights or new players or free-to-play players more specifically is going to be like, hey, you now have gear that makes it where something like a dungeon doesn't seem as unattainable, and maybe you want to use that gear to help yourself out, and maybe someone's like, oh, this is a great idea. The downside is that I have a small feeling, and I could be completely wrong, so let me know what you think down below, is that a lot of the free-to-play players mostly do Destiny for the PvP, and I think that to some degree when you do free-to-play stuff, it might not be as obvious to have the draw for having all these stats and whatnot. Like I've met people where they're like, yeah, I mostly play PvP. I really don't care much about resilience. It doesn't make enough of a difference in PvP. Because, you know, PvE, that's the most obvious difference, in my opinion. PvP, I feel like I just died. Doesn't matter what I have on, especially with all that one-shot kill weapons like fusion rifles and snipers and shotguns that are being used a ton at the present time. So if these free-to-play players don't really see the draw of having the high stat armor, I'm not sure they're going to necessarily farm for it, but I don't think it's necessarily a bad idea. Then you got all the folks that do play quite a bit that are maybe like me that are like, you know, I'm so close. Like my Titan, I'm so close to having triple 100s. I got 100 recovery, 100 resilience. I'm just trying to figure out how the heck do I get 100 intellect instead of 78, so tier 7. And that's kind of what I'm be running for. And I know there's some people that are on more of that kind of a boat where they maybe feel like, you know what, a master raid or a master dungeon is not something I really want to put the time or energy into. I really don't want to grind the power for it or whatever the case might be. And this is a great alternative for getting those high armor pieces. So overall, this is not like a bad event. I just don't think it's a good event, right? It's like, meh. I like if they were like, hey, Solstice of Heroes is never coming back, I wouldn't really care. I don't know a whole lot of other people that would actually be upset about it. It just kind of be like, all right, going into the vault like everything else, and this time we don't really care too much about it. All right, thank you guys all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to like my video, as well as comment down below something about what you think with this event, what you like about it, what you don't like about it. If you're getting the armor you want, whatever it is, or whatever roles you're searching for, I would love to hear it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, especially if you guys made it all the way here to the end. I think this means that you enjoyed the video, and it's worth giving a subscribe button, click, and then finding out later if you want to keep me on your subscription list or not. So thank you guys all so much for watching. I am Church of Caboose. Have a great week, and happy grinding, y'all.